Hi, this is Mary Kay's Positivity Podcast. I'm a yoga and meditation teacher and life coach. I'm also author of several self-help books. I have Juliet Annerino, who is a hypnotherapist that works with past life regression. Her approach is rooted in conventional hypnotherapy from thousands of years of tradition, beginning with the ancient Egyptians. Her practice holistically incorporates cutting-edge modalities, including NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive behavioral therapy, the Sedona method, and multi-channel eye movement integration. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here, Mary Kay. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. What I love about hypnotherapy, because I've tried it, are two things. There are no side effects, and it's a practice that's 2,000 years old, which means anything that old must work. So how did you discover hypnotherapy?
Actually, I discovered it a little over 20 years ago, even earlier, actually, because as a kid, as a precocious teenager, 14 and 15 years old, I had been reading just about every book I could get my hands on out of the local library on psychotherapy, on mythology from different countries, from ancient Rome to the Nordic mythology and ancient Egyptians. And so I was just fascinated with human nature. And so then I started to get into different modalities like the Silva method, which is basically a method of hypnotherapy.
Oh.
And this is one of the beginnings of my interest in hypnotherapy. So it goes back way over 20 years.
Wow. Explain what hypnotherapy is. You're tapping into the subconscious mind?
Yes. So the beautiful thing that I'm so glad that you have experienced this yourself personally.
Yes.
The beautiful thing I find with hypnotherapy is that it is a direct access to the subconscious, to the higher self. It is a very quick way to reach this inner wisdom that we all have. And through reaching this inner wisdom, we can access thoughts, feelings, even events from our earlier lives or even past lives that would not otherwise be accessible. And this is through gaining access into the trance state where we can be in direct communication with our higher selves, with our subconscious.
So why do you think it's more helpful to tap into that higher consciousness?
It's been said that 95% of all of our thoughts are subconscious. That's a pretty high percentage when you think about our day-to-day life. All of our digestion, our breathing, all of our other interactions that we're completely unaware of are taking place on a subconscious level. So therefore, there is a lot of wisdom involved, as well as a recording of our past, all of our experiences. And the imprints that our past experiences make on our subconscious is carried with us, whether we're aware of it or not, and plays into our current and future behavior patterns. And so if we can become aware of these behavior patterns, and if we can understand how we got to where we are today, then we can proceed intelligently and in an informed way toward a very productive and evolutionary process in our lives.
So if somebody is always finding themselves in situations with abusive people, say a boss or a lover, what have you found is a past life experience that helps them?
This is very common. I hear this a lot. And what this oftentimes indicates is that in an earlier life, they were either in a similar situation or the roles were reversed. So a lot of times in a karmic process, the roles have been reversed. And so they are finding themselves, and so sometimes we get stuck in our patterns. And so in order to live out a karmic situation where, say, a person was abusive, let's just say a few hundred years ago, or even more, towards like a servant, they were abusive. And so in lives after this, they want to play out this karma in a way that forces resolution, where things come back into balance. But the problem is that they become stuck in this pattern. They become stuck like they're in a wheel spoke and they can't get out of it. And so they keep finding themselves in abusive relationships where they are being abused and they can't find their way because the lesson hasn't been learned, because they are not aware, because awareness hurts. Awareness is tough. But we get to the other side by going through, not around.
And just sitting in pain. Like people are afraid to sit in pain.
Of course, it's very scary. Yes.
Yeah. So can you share a few client stories that provided evidence that hypnotherapy worked for them?
I will tell you about a woman who came to me, preserving her anonymity, carried anger, frustration, a lot of feelings that she couldn't logically understand. Why am I feeling this way? What is so terrible that happened to me? She had an inkling. She had this nagging feeling that happened to her earlier in her current life, but she had a complete blank out of this time in her life when she was about 4 years old. She couldn't remember, but she had an idea that it was something bad that happened to her. She wanted to be taken to that point in her current life so that she could unravel that, so she could come to terms with that and understand it and work through it. So we did that. We took her back through her age regression, and we did find out what happened with another family member, and it was abusive, and it was hard. Honestly, it's even hard for me because I feel these things with my clients. It's hard for me to hear these things, but it's also healthy and productive, and it moves the karma forward, and it really helped her. It helped her move past it. Once she was aware, instead of being blocked, she could release it. Then she could release it, see?
It's interesting that the conscious mind represses these memories. And then
it is interesting.
Your subconscious mind can access it immediately. That's fascinating.
It had become more receptive when we're in trance, when we're in this hypnotic state. And another beautiful thing about hypnosis is it feels good to be in this state.
Yeah.
And it's a natural state. It's not anything that's imposed on a person. It's something that we actually go into trance several times every day. And that's a good thing. When you're driving, you're focused on driving, right? You're not thinking about, this is good.
I know. I remember watching my mom. She would stare out the window in a trance sometimes. And I remember thinking she needs to do that because she was always on the go. So it's a meditation. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You understand.
Yeah. So tell us about a historical or famous figure that uses hypnosis as therapy. Are there any examples that you know of?
Oprah Winfrey is a very famous example. Tiger Woods also has famously used hypnotherapy to improve his game. And let's see, for quitting smoking, there's Matt Damon. Lots of people, whole sports teams. Chicago White Sox hired a hypnotherapist to up their game. Yeah, that's one of the cool things. It's got such a great history. And it comes in and out of vogue. I'm feeling now, and I feel like enjoying it. It's on the cusp of enjoying a new renaissance.
Yeah. So why is it so helpful for weight loss? What are the messages when you are in hypnotherapy for
That's a great
loss?
question, because weight has different connotations for all of us. And hypnotherapy taps into our connotations. For instance, I want to circle back to that engine. Okay, what is traumatic for me and what is traumatic for you and what is traumatic for this other person are completely different. Okay. And this is going to tie in with the weight loss. All right. Because weight has got tons of meaning. I think even more meaning for women than for men, but I could be wrong. It depends on the person. Again, for instance, there was a woman who shared with me that when she was in trance, I say we were in trance because I do basically go into trance with my client. I feel with them, and it's so pleasant. Of course, it can be a little harrowing sometimes as well, but it's a beautiful experience. So she shared with me that when her sister was born, that this was traumatic for her because she felt less loved. She felt ignored. She felt it was on a level of abuse for her. Whereas another person having, I think, a similar experience might say, oh, I'm so glad I have a sister now. See what I mean? Yeah. Whereas that might not seem like a traumatic event to one person, to her, it was a traumatic event.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter. The facts don't matter as much as the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Back to your question about weight. Weight has so many different connotations for all different kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
You can explore the different linguistic characteristics. Oh, they're heavy set. Oh, they're Zoftig. Oh, they're Raphaelite. There are so many different nice ways and not nice ways
Right.
of putting weight, extra
Mm-hmm.
weight. And it's very subjective. How much is too much weight?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there are health issues that are less subjective, more objective. Yes, you have a problem. But,
And some people can't help it.
because there are so many different issues involved. But
Right.
a lot of weight is held, and I'm going to just use that word weight because I think that's the best way to refer to this issue, as a protective mechanism.
I've heard that, yes.
Yes. It's actual like physical distance between them and whatever has hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
You see this in rape victims. You see this in other victims of abuse, incest. It's very sad, where they just can't get rid of that weight. And it's a weight that weighs on them heavily because of something that happened to them. And they are, unfortunately, holding that karmic energy as guilt and shame. And so we need to help them release this. Okay. And once they release the guilt and the shame, guess what else they release? That physical weight. It just dissolves. It's just gone.
Even if there's like hormonal imbalance or whatever it may be.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
And here's the thing, Mary Kay, what controls hormones in your body? It's your mind.
Oh,
your
really?
glands.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, your subconscious. Again, it's that 95%. You can control. So much research has been done in endocrinology, and so much research has been done in hormone balances and imbalances that suggest that just by the movement of our mentality, we can move our bodies in so many ways we never thought possible, including adjusting our hormones. It's amazing, and people have a trouble believing it. But once they let go of that defense mechanism, that I'm having trouble believing that, drop the trouble. Just drop it.
Right.
Let it go. That's okay. It's okay. You can have that, or you can let it go, and you can embrace change.
You can also overcome phobias.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Like
this
what?
is anything from spiders to heights to flying to needles. Yes, this is very effective. Yeah, hypnotherapy is really profoundly used for this. And I can incorporate NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, into that as well, which is a method, its own science, but it's a method of reframing through using different words and different imagery to take an experience and put it into a different category in your brain and to send it on its way so that it no longer restricts a person.
So when someone has trouble sleeping, are sleep disorders associated with a past life sometimes?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think through guilt, shame, some other kind of disturbance that hasn't been recognized and then resolved, because you can't fix something if you can't even see it. You know, just like the woman I told you about, she knew something happened when she was about 4. She just had this feeling, this nagging feeling. I just can't remember that year, which is interesting because that's really way back in your life. Why would you want to remember something, but she had this angry feeling, this annoyed feeling? And I even asked her, can you get a little deeper into that annoyance? Is it when you're driving? Especially in LA, a lot of people have annoyances with driving. No, I'm chill when I'm in my car because I'm listening to music. And I thought, oh, that's nice.
I'm not.
Right. We all have our buttons. But it was interesting, though, because she said, it seems to come out of nowhere. It's annoyance with people. And I thought, okay, what person? We have to go back to the root cause. See, this is the beautiful thing about past life regression therapy. What we're seeking is this initial sensitizing event, and that would be the root cause of any issue, the origin of distortion, it's also called. So as I was giving that example of the woman who was upset because she had a new sister and that took attention from her, but it felt hurtful to her. It felt like she was abandoned almost. It's very easy to catastrophize, even for a child.
Right.
In fact, for children to catastrophize, it's very common. You are a mother. Like, what? I can't have that comic book right now? I'm going to throw a fit.
Right.
Maybe your children haven't done that to you, but
oh, sure they have.
Typical. Okay, you get it then. So this catastrophizing you think, oh, we get over that though. If you can't get the
Mm-hmm.
comic book right now, then you just learn to be. Some people don't. Okay.
Yeah. Try
People
taking their
hold it
phone
in.
away.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
better. I think that's a better example. So yeah, this catastrophizing can really spiral.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever is the first point of pain, we like to call it, we try to work with maybe in an inner child sort of capacity. And then you can even bring in the parental figure, which is yourself as the parent, the
Mm-hmm.
loving parent, to heal this, to have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
with that hurt child. That's
Right.
just one way of going about this.
Is anyone too young to try hypnotherapy?
That's an interesting question. And I have not worked with young children. I am open to work with young children.
Mm-hmm.
Children are very creative.
Right.
They're very open, which sounds like, oh, that would be great to work with them. And yes, I think that would be a plus, but also they are very impressionable and their openness leaves a vulnerability.
Right.
And I think that a parent might feel so protective that they might want to be there for a hypnotherapy session,
Yes.
which is understandable, but it also might color the session.
Right. Right.
Because think back to when you were a child.
Right.
Would you be as open with your parent there or without your parent there? Yeah. So
Definitely.
it's a tricky dichotomy there. Yes,
Right.
you want the child to feel safe. Yes, you want the parent to feel confident. But how do you do this where the child also feels free to express
Mm-hmm.
and go into trance? You see what I'm saying?
No,
Yeah.
I can totally understand. It's probably overwhelming. I was just
It's
curious.
a lot.
Yeah.
No, it's a good question.
So, how does it help eliminate anxiety?
That is the number one request that I get here in Los Angeles.
I bet.
And
Yeah.
yes, and you can figure out why. The entertainment industry, it inspires this kind of feeling of angst that is really
Right.
prevalent here. The unknown. They never know when they're going to get their next audition or their next role or the next gig. And the future is always uncertain for people in the entertainment business.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety is an energy. And what we can do with this energy is we can turn it into another kind of energy, because all energy has no color in and of itself. We give it the color, we give it the direction, we give it the form and shape that it takes. And so what people need to be reminded of, Mary Kay, is their own power. Once they start feeling anxiety, you know what that means? That means they don't understand their own power.
Right.
Okay. If people can feel more comfortable with the unknown, which we need to, because we can't know everything, right?
Right. Right.
If we can reach a comfort level with the unknown, and instead of feeling nervous, anxiety, distraction, confusion over what is not known,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of that, feeling excitement, anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
I
That's how you transform it.
actually just remembered a past life experience I had with someone who was doing past life regression. And I also do interior design work because I love being creative and it comes easily for me. But I often would say to myself, you haven't had all this schooling that all of your colleagues have had. So who do you think you are, Mary Kay? But I loved it and it really came easily. So I was in a crossroads where I was like, should I be doing this when I have all these other interests? Because there's a lot of headaches with design that are out of your control. The couch is delivered and it's missing one of the feet, or something breaks in transport, or a mirror has been delayed 6 months and people go crazy. So I was wondering, is this the path that I should take now? And I had done this past life regression, and we've discovered that I had lived a long time ago in Babylon times, and I was head of this fabric empire, and I was the matriarch. They basically said to me, you've been dealing with the most extraordinary fabrics in the world for a whole entire lifetime. So don't give up this design work. And it was fascinating to me because I didn't tell them that I was thinking about should I be doing more of this. It was just interesting. It actually gave me the confidence to keep doing what I'm doing and not worry about having training, because it does seem intuitive.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, our intuitions are very powerful,
Yeah.
and
Have
they're
you,
very wise. We
right.
have an inner wisdom. Yeah, you were just tapping into your inner wisdom. You needed to understand that, yeah, you were on the right course, to
Yeah.
trust your inner wisdom, right? That's
Right.
it.
So have you had a past life experience that you were like, oh, okay, wow, that explains everything?
No, I actually haven't.
That's hilarious. Oh gosh.
It's funny.
I thought you were going to have 5.
No, I actually think that I enjoy this work more, exploring other people's past lives
Uh-huh.
and living my life out, not knowing about my past lives. It keeps it fresh for me on that level.
Oh, fascinating. That's interesting. So tell me about lucid dreaming. What do you think about dreaming? What is it? Because sometimes it feels really real.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you going and escaping into this astral world, or is it just mindless?
There are so many different theories. There are several different theories about what happens when we dream and why we dream. Okay, so on a more of a clinical scientific level, doctors have postulated that when we dream, it is 2 different functions. One is organization of what's happened during the day. It puts it into boxes in a very abstract way. It correlates different events and settles them. And the other theory is, or the other purpose for our dreams could be that we are having playtime in our imaginations, that our creativity is taking the reins and decided, I'm going to just have some fun now. You relax, which is cool.
Yeah.
And on a spiritual level, I guess there have been many different theories of what you mentioned. We're going into another dimension, or we're learning things that we couldn't have otherwise learned, and many different stories through history. Of people, even biblical stories, as you're probably aware, of receiving messages through their dreams. And I actually did have a dream like that, to tell you the truth. I
Really?
received a dream. Yes, it was completely life-changing, that told me that I needed to leave my marriage and it was time, and that I had been hanging on too long, trapped in my Catholic ways.
Yeah.
You're with your one and only, and you gotta be for the rest of your life, even though I wasn't actually religious in that way. I recognized, oh, this is a restriction that was put on me by this belief system that I don't even really hold anymore. It's not really my belief system. It will affect you. Okay. So this particular very vivid dream, in this dream, listen to this. I actually, in my sleep, lying next to my husband at the time, I not only woke up, but I said out loud, I didn't get any. I was waiting for a piece of chicken at dinner, and I had my eye on one piece, and instead my grandmother got it. And of course I couldn't take meat from my grandmother. I couldn't take something from her, but I felt upset. And I sat up in my bed and said, I didn't get any. And my husband at the time said, oh, you just had a bad dream. Go back to sleep. And I thought, yeah, I know what I didn't get any of. I didn't get any satisfaction.
Yeah.
I didn't get what I wanted when I married you, buddy.
Oh,
So
wow.
then I realized, okay, this is it now. My subconscious is really telling me something strongly.
Yeah. Wow. So how did you fall into hypnotherapy?
As I was saying, it's been a lifelong fascination for me, getting into psychology and mythology, as these things really relate to the subconscious. I did take a course about 20 years ago, and I never got certified. And so lately, or later, I should say, I thought I am really interested in this still, and I would like to get certified. So I took another course, and I was certified. And I went to a convention, and I thought, you know what? This is great. Let's get back into this. So that's what brings me to where I am today.
Oh, yeah. Because it's not a traditional path. So that's why I was wondering.
It's really not.
Yeah. But it's so helpful. It really does make a difference in eliminating anxiety. So you were talking about lucid dreaming. Could you expand on that?
Oh, sure. So lucid dreaming is being able to recognize that you're dreaming when it happens, and then having the option to steer your dream one way or the other. Or even before you go to sleep at night, to put in your mind some kind of a plan, almost like being the director of your own movie.
Right.
Which is like a wonderful superpower
Right. So thinking something positively, or maybe thinking about a great dream that you have in life, and that will set you on that path.
Going on an adventure, people find this very empowering. And there is a specific technique to it. Did you see, or maybe your listeners have seen the movie Inception? And
Yes.
the way, yes, okay. So just to
Yeah.
review, the way that this is interesting to me, it was really interesting as it ties in with lucid dreaming. The way that the character could tell if they were in a dream or not was by watching the top spin and seeing if the top would fall down or would keep spinning. If it kept spinning, then they realized they were in a dream.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the same way, we can use a cue that's agreed on before we go to sleep. Most of the literature suggests that you look at your hands, and looking at your hands will be your sign to yourself, I'm in a dream. It'll trigger that. And that is basically a hypnotic suggestion.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how I can help people to dream lucidly through hypnosis. If I can give them that suggestion in hypnotic session, then it'll be much easier for them to remember to do that automatically, to just click in, and then for them to embrace the power to control the plot of their dream, the movement of their dream, what happens next. Here's what's so empowering about that. Just think about this. Imagine this. Imagine if before you go to sleep tonight, you could say to yourself, I am going to dream that I have that meeting with that friend who I've had a few issues with, a few problems, and that I know the right words to say, and that my friend smiles and is receptive, and that my friend understands, and we reach an agreement, and it's a beautiful thing. Then we decide that we're going to go on a trip together, and it's a beautiful place, and we have beautiful experiences. You can go into deep detail in your dream and your imagination, because your imagination is completely free. And see how this can influence your life and your attitude?
Yeah. No, that's so powerful. It's an excellent suggestion of how we can all create positivity in our life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked that you think would be important for our listeners?
We've covered quite a bit of ground. It's been really fun.
Yeah. Oh, academic performance.
Oh, yes. This is a wonderful opportunity
Right.
for high school and college students in specific, because high school students and college students have finals. They have tests that they have to study for. And actually, right now, one of my clients is studying for the LSAT for her law degree. It's before she takes the bar. And she is such a hard worker, and she is working so many hours, also holding a job as a paralegal. She has stress about it. She's actually has some attention deficit disorder issues, but she takes all of these things into consideration. But what she could use is the ability to focus and concentrate. In the short amount of time she has allotted for her study, she wants to be able to instantly focus. Hypnotherapy can do that. What we can do is we can give an anchor. We call it an anchor, and that's also an NLP technique as well. That could be just a gesture, like putting your thumb and your index finger together. And this can trigger this feeling of peace, calm, relaxation, and focus. We can do the same thing for relieving anxiety or boosting confidence, and even give suggestions for improved study habits, because some people have a problem. Oh, what I do when I first get home is I turn on the TV, but then I get sucked into something and I can't seem to study, or whatever it is. Or I'm scrolling, I'm looking at my feed here and I just get sucked in. I got a comment. We can help with that.
Yeah. Wow, that's so helpful. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
How can people get in touch with you if they want a hypnotherapy session or just to learn more? Could you share some information?
Sure. They can visit me at silverlakehypnotherapy.com, because I'm here in Silver Lake. And the first thing to do is to fill out our confidential hypnotherapy questionnaire. And what that does is it helps me to understand you, whatever you're dealing with, whatever your issues are, is completely confidential, and what you want to achieve through our sessions together. Now, I recommend 3 sessions, but I've had results with people seeing me only once or twice.
Mm-hmm. So let me
And I give a
ask you.
discount for 3 sessions.
Oh, okay. Can they do this on Zoom, or do you really need to be there in person? What's the
I prefer being in person. For me, it's nicer. And I think for the client, it's more beneficial because it's just more immediate. There is an energy to being in someone's presence in
right?
person.
I
Okay,
agree.
so you get it. I
Yeah.
think we're on the same page there. But that's not to say that a Zoom session or a virtual session, whatever platform we use, can be very helpful.
Right.
Of course.
Anything's better than nothing.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary Kay.
I
It's been a
really
pleasure speaking
appreciate it.
with you today.
So find a comfortable position for a brief meditation. I want you to take a deep breath in, count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now hold the breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is called box breath. Continue to inhale for 5. Hold the breath. Now exhale for 5. Hold. Inhale for 5. Hold the breath for 5. Exhale. And hold. Continue to breathe like this. And allow your happiness to keep you human. The happiest people don't necessarily have the best of everything. They just make the most of everything that comes along their way. And you'll never go forward in life unless you're able to let go of past failures and heartaches and to focus on your life with enthusiasm and excitement of all the possibilities and potential for your life. And as you sit in silence, imagine sounds of the birds and the waterfall. Breathing in and relaxing all the muscles in your face. Unclench your teeth, relax your jaw, soften the brow. Your lips may part. And you're just taking in all the beautiful energy all around you. You're recognizing that life isn't fair, but it's still really good. And even when things just seem to not be going your way, and it might be happening for eternity, you just feel like you're never going to catch a break, it always turns around. Sometimes it's just a little life test. And the whole goal is to recognize that it's all going to lift. There's going to be a breakthrough. And you're going to move past it. You're going to move out of the sadness and out of the anxiety and out of the negative cycle so that you can embrace your life. No one is in charge of your happiness except you. Forgive everyone for everything. Take that pressure off. Breathe in. And breathe out. Let go of any thoughts that aren't useful, beautiful, joyful. And just believe the best is yet to come, because it is. Inhale. Exhale and just release any negative thoughts. visualizing that really peaceful, serene, natural scene of the waterfall crashing down, allowing it to provide you with this warmth and heaviness in your body and limbs. And this will intensify that feeling of relaxation. The soothing waterfall, the calm lake, any imagery from nature, just immersing yourself in nature. Have a great life. Thank you for joining us today. Namaste.